Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, think you step on humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So this evening we'll have Bhagavad Gita reading, circle, Bhagavad Gita circle. We'll be starting with chapter 16, Divine and Demoniac Natures. Okay, so Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirveshesha Sunyavari Paschatya Charini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sidvaita Gadadhar Shivachari Gaura Bhaktavrind. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. So, chapter 16, Bhagavad Gita, texts 1 through 3. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha, Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhi, Jnana Yoga Vyavastiti, Dhamnam Dhammascha Yagyascha, Swadhyayastapa Ajavam, Ahimsa Satyam Akrudhas, Tyaga Santir Apechanam, Daya Bhutesha Lutvam, Madhavam Kri Achapalam, Tejakshamaditi Shocham, Adroho Nati Manita, Bhavanti Sampadam Devim, Abhijatasya Bharatam. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. We need to just adjust this thing here. No. Oh. Okay, translation by Srila Prabhupada. Supreme Personality Godhead said, fearlessness, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to false finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharat, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the beginning of the 15th chapter, the banyan tree of this material world was explained. The extra roots coming out of it were compared to the activities of the living entities, some auspicious, some inauspicious. In the 9th chapter also, the devas, or godly, and the asuras, the ungodly, or demons, were explained. Now, according to Vedic rites, activities in the mode of goodness are considered auspicious for progress on the path of liberation, and such activities are known as Devi Prakriti, transcendental by nature. Those who are situated in a transcendental nature make progress on the path of liberation. For those who are acting in the modes of passion and ignorance, on the other hand, there is no possibility of liberation. Either they will have to remain in this material world as human beings, or they will descend among the species of animals or even lower forms of life. In this 16th chapter, the Lord explains both the transcendental nature and its attendant qualities, and the demoniac nature and its qualities. He also explains the advantages and disadvantages of these qualities. The word abhijatasya, in reference to one born of the transcendental qualities or godly tendencies, is very significant. To beget a child in a godly atmosphere is known in the Vedic scriptures as garbhadhana samskar. If the parents want a child in the godly qualities, they should follow the 10 principles recommended for the social life of a human being. In Bhagavad Gita, we have studied also before that sex life for begetting a good child is Krishna himself. Sex life is not condemned, provided the process is used in Krishna consciousness. Those who are in Krishna consciousness at least should not beget children like cats and dogs, but should beget them so that they may become Krishna conscious after birth. That should be the advantage of children born of a father and mother absorbed in Krishna consciousness. The social institution known as Varnashram Dharma, the institution dividing society into 4 divisions of social life and 4 occupational divisions or castes, is not meant to divide human society according to birth. Such divisions are in terms of educational qualifications. They are to keep the society in a state of peace and prosperity. The qualities mentioned herein are explained as transcendental qualities meant for making a person progress in spiritual understanding so that he can get liberated from the material world. In the Varnashram institution, the sannyasi, or the person in the renounced order of life, is considered to be the head or the spiritual master of all the social statuses and orders. A Brahmana is considered to be the spiritual master of the 3 other sections of a society, namely the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and the Shudras. But a sannyasi, who is on the top of the institution, is considered to be the spiritual master of the Brahmanas also. For a sannyasi, the first qualification should be fearlessness, because a sannyasi has to be alone without any support or guarantee of support. He has simply to depend on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one thinks, after I leave my connections, who will protect me, he should not accept the renounced order of life. One must be fully convinced that Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his localized aspect as Paramatma, is always within, that he is seeing everything, and he also knows what one intends to do. One must thus have firm conviction that Krishna as Paramatma will take care of a soul surrendered to him. I shall never be alone, one should think. Even if I live in the darkest regions of a forest, I shall be accompanied by Krishna, and he will give me all protection. That conviction is called abhayam, fearlessness. This state of mind is necessary for a person in the renounced order of life. He has to purify his existence. There are so many rules and regulations to be followed in the renounced order of life. Most important of all, A sannyasi is strictly forbidden to have any intimate relationship with a woman. He is ever forbidden to talk with a woman in a secluded place. Lord Chaitanya was an ideal sannyasi. When he was at Puri, his feminine devotees could not even come near to offer their respects. They were advised to bow down from a distant place. This is not a sign of hatred for women as a class, but it is a stricture imposed on a sannyasi not to have close connections with women. One has to follow the rules and regulations of a particular status of life in order to purify his existence. For a sannyasi, intimate relations with women and possession of wealth for sense gratification are strictly forbidden. The ideal sannyasi was Lord Chaitanya himself, and we can learn from his life that he was very strict in regards to women. Although he is considered to be the most liberal incarnation of Godhead, accepting the most fallen conditioned souls, he strictly followed the rules and regulations of the sannyas order of life in connection with association with women. One of his personal associates, namely Chota Haridas, was associated with Lord Chaitanya along with his other confidential personal associates. But somehow or other, this Chota Haridas looked lustily on a young woman, and Lord Chaitanya was so strict that he at once rejected him from the society of his personal associates. Lord Chaitanya said, for a sannyasi or anyone who is aspiring to get out of the clutches of material nature and trying to elevate himself to the spiritual nature and go back home, back to Godhead, for him, looking toward possessions and women for sense gratification, not even enjoying them, but just looking toward them with such a propensity, is so condemned that he had better commit suicide before experiencing such illicit desires. So these are the processes for purification. The next item is Jnana Yoga Vyavastiti, being engaged in the cultivation of knowledge. Sannyasi life is meant for distributing knowledge to the householders and others who have forgotten their real life of spiritual advancement. The sannyasi is supposed to beg from door to door for his livelihood, but this does not mean that he's a beggar. Humility is also one of the qualifications of a transcendentally situated person. And out of sheer humility, the sannyasi goes from door to door, not exactly for the purpose of begging, but to see the householders and awaken them to Krishna consciousness. This is the duty of a sannyasi. If he is actually advanced and so ordered by his spiritual master, he should preach Krishna consciousness with logic and understanding. And if one is not so advanced, he should not accept the renounced order of life. But even if one has accepted the renounced order of life without sufficient knowledge, he should engage himself fully in hearing from a bona fide spiritual master to cultivate knowledge. A sannyasi or one in the renounced order of life must be situated in fearlessness, sattva samshuddhi, purity, and Jnana Yoga, knowledge. The next item is charity. Charity is meant for the householders. The householders should earn a livelihood by an honorable means and spend 50% of their income to propagate Krishna consciousness all over the world. Thus, a householder should give in charity to institutional societies that are engaged in that way. Charity should be given to the right receiver. There are different kinds of charity, as will be explained later on. Charity in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Charity in the mode of goodness is recommended by the scriptures, but charity in the modes of passion and ignorance is not recommended because it is simply a waste of money. Charity should be given only to propagate Krishna consciousness all over the world. That is charity in the mode of goodness. Then, as far as Dhamma, self-control, is concerned, it is only meant for other orders of religious society, but it's especially, so it is not only meant for other orders of religious society, but it's especially meant for the householder. Although he has a wife, A householder should not use his senses for sex life unnecessarily. There are restrictions for the householders, even in sex life, which should only be engaged in for the propagation of children. If he does not require children, he does not enjoy sex life with his wife. Modern society enjoys sex life with contraceptive methods or more abominable methods to avoid the responsibility of children. This is not in the transcendental quality, but is demoniac. If anyone, even if he is a householder, wants to make progress in spiritual life, he must control his sex life and should not beget children without the purpose of serving Krishna. If he is able to beget children who will be in Krishna consciousness, one can produce hundreds of children. But without this capacity, one should not indulge only for sense pleasure. Sacrifice is another item to be performed by the householders because sacrifices require a large amount of money. Those in other orders of life, namely Brahmacharya, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas, have no money. They live by begging. So performance of different types of sacrifices is meant for the householders. They should perform Agnihotra sacrifices as enjoined in the Vedic literature. But such sacrifices at the present moment are very expensive, and it is not possible for any householder to perform them. The best sacrifice recommended in this age is called Sankirtan Yagya. This Sankirtan Yagya, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the best and most inexpensive sacrifice. Everyone can adopt it and derive benefit. So these three items, namely charity, sense control, and performance of sacrifice, are meant for the householder. Then Swadhyaya, Vedic study, is meant for Brahmacharya or student life. Brahmacharya should have no connection with women. They should live a life of celibacy and engage the mind in the study of Vedic literature for cultivation of spiritual knowledge. This is called Swadhyaya. Tapas, or austerity, is meant for the retired life. One should not remain a householder throughout his whole life. You must always remember that there are 4 divisions of life: Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. So after Grihastha, householder life, one should retire. If one lives for 100 years, he should spend 25 years in student life, 25 years in householder life, 25 years in retired life, and 25 years in the renounced order of life. These are the regulations of the Vedic religious discipline. A man retired from household life must practice austerities of the body, mind, and tongue. That is tapasya. The entire Varnashram Dharma society is meant for tapasya. Without tapasya or austerity, no human being can get liberation. The theory that there is no need of austerity in life, that one can go on speculating and everything will be nice, is recommended neither in the Vedic literature nor in Bhagavad Gita. Such theories are manufactured by so-called spiritualists who are trying to gather more followers. If there are restrictions, rules, and regulations, people will not become attracted. Therefore, those who want followers in the name of religion just to have a show only. Don't restrict the lives of these students, nor their own lives. But that method is not approved by the Vedas. As far as the Brahminical quality of simplicity is concerned, not only should a particular order of life follow this principle, but every member, be he in the Brahmacharya ashram, Grihastha ashram, Vanaprastha ashram, or Sannyas ashram, one should be very simple and straightforward. Ahimsa means not arresting the progressive life of any living entity. One should not think that since the spirit spark is never killed, and even after killing of the body, there is no harm in killing animals for sense gratification. People are now addicted to eating animals, in spite of having an ample supply of grains, fruits, and milk. There is no necessity for animal killing. This injunction is for everyone. When there is no alternative, one may kill an animal, but it should be offered in sacrifice. At any rate, when there is an ample food supply for humanity, persons who are desiring to make advancement in spiritual realization should not commit violence to animals. Real ahimsa means not checking anyone's progressive life. The animals are also making progress in their evolutionary life by transmigrating from one category of animal life to another. If a particular animal is killed, then his progress is checked. If an animal is staying in a particular body for so many days or so many years and is untimely killed, then he has to come back again in that form of life to complete the remaining days in order to be promoted to another species of life. So their progress should not be checked simply to satisfy one's palate. This is called ahimsa. Satyam. This word means that one should not distort the truth for some personal interest. In Vedic literature, there are some difficult passages, but the meaning or the purpose should be learned from a bona fide spiritual master. That is the process for understanding the Vedas. Shruti means that one should hear from the authority. One should not construe some interpretation for his personal interest. There are so many commentaries on Bhagavad Gita that misinterpret the original text. The real import of the word should be presented, and that should be learned from a bona fide spiritual master. Akrodha means to check anger. Even if there's a provocation, one should be tolerant. For once one becomes angry, his whole body becomes polluted. Anger is a product of the mode of passion and lust. So one who is transcendentally situated should check himself from anger. Apeshunam means that one should not find fault with others or correct them unnecessarily. Of course, to call a thief is not fault finding, but to call an honest person a thief is very much offensive for one who is making advancement in spiritual life. Kri means that one should be very modest and must not perform some act which is abominable. Achapalam, determination, means that one should not be agitated or frustrated in some attempt. There may be failure in some attempt, but one should not be sorry for that. He should make progress with patience and determination. The word tejas used here is meant for the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas should always be very strong to be able to give protection to the weak. They should not pose themselves as non-violent. If violence is required, they must exhibit it. But a person who is able to curb down his enemy may, under certain conditions, show forgiveness. He may excuse minor offenses. Shocham means cleanliness, not only in mind and body, but in one's dealings also. It is especially meant for the mercantile people who should not deal in the black market. Nati manita, not expecting honor, applies to the Shudras, the worker class, which are considered, according to Vedic injunctions, to be the lowest of the four classes. They should not be puffed up with unnecessary prestige or honor, and should remain in their own status. It is the duty of the Shudras to offer respect to the higher class for the upkeep of the social order. All these 26 qualifications mentioned are transcendental qualities. They should be cultivated according to the different statuses of social and occupational order. The purport is that even though material conditions are miserable, if these qualities are developed by practice by all classes of men, then gradually it is possible to rise to the highest platform of transcendental realization. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much for reading these verses, but I have to say that it's a lot. It's, as Prabhupada said, 26, and it's 6:30, but still I'll open up for questions if anybody has any questions or comments or clarification. Actually, I do have one, and I really wanted to find out if you can go up in the second last paragraph, since you have, yes, right there. And I'm wondering, why did Srila Prabhupada, if I'm reading this correctly, that is, where he talked about Nati manita, not expecting honor, applies to the Sudra, the worker class. Why only the worker class? I'm just wondering.
Hare Krishna. Maharajas, who are Kshatriyas, kings, are usually given honor as a matter of tradition. It's a matter of tradition. So when kings are honored, they are not surprised that they're honored. So that's one example. Brahmanas, because again of the type of occupational duty that they are also given honor. They usually guide in a society that's supposed to function properly. They usually guide even the administrators. So we expect that with such type of work, type of duty, that because of the prestige that comes with it, a person advising a head of state, that person is not the head of state, he's a Brahman, but because the head of state listens to that person, that if things are working well, I'm not talking about Kali Yuga the way it is now, then clearly they will be given some honor as a way of appreciating the type of work that they do. And then if you compare to Shudras, because they are at the bottom of the Varnashram system, they are doing work supporting the other castes, supporting the other ashrams and the Varnas. The other Varnas are the Brahman, Kshatriya, and Vaishya. And the Shudras are in that position as far as serving those. So if you're serving as a servant, why should you expect honor then? By the nature of what they do. So if you compare this whole honor thing of not expecting honor applying to Shudras, is because Shudras are doing work of servants, and servants don't usually expect honor as people who are heads of different organizations would be given, even if they don't want it or necessarily looking for it. Just because the nature of what they do and because their actions affect so many people, then they are given the honor. So no, Shakras especially, Shudras especially, should not expect honor. All people should not look for it, but Shudras especially, by the nature of where they are, what they do, they are serving the others. So they, by nature of their work, they shouldn't expect it at all. Hare Krishna.
And I think also Sri Prabhupada said that in this Kali Yuga, everybody's a Sudra, right? He's made that comment before. So then we shouldn't expect honor. If Prabhupada says that.
Everybody is a Shudra because of the way the nature of life having been so degraded. It's the degradation of nature that has put everybody in Shudra platform. So Shudra in terms of ignorance. Shudra in terms of ignorance. It's just mental ignorance that's there, and people don't look for the right information. That's why when a few people, when they get to Krishna consciousness and they see that it is a solution, they hook onto it very tightly. But only a few are doing that now, and most people are just trying ways to make money and cheat their way through life, and they don't really care much about God consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for shedding some light on that. Thank you for clarifying. Any questions from devotees? Any thoughts? Any reflection? This is quite a bit that Sri Prabhupada has compounded in 3 verses. And as we were reading through it, I was thinking, wow, each of these paragraphs can be a class by itself. It's so in depth. And hopefully we will be able to speak upon and address each of these paragraphs. Yes, Mamina, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandot
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to you.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice class. Each and every word is a class, as just like Mataji was sharing. I have the same realization. But I would like to.
Mamina, you went to mute again.
Yeah, please unmute if you can hear us.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, now we can.
Yeah, I was just trying to share that as Mataji shared, like every word is a class in itself. I also realized the same thing. And I would also like to share, like, for 2.5 years, like, I have been um, attending classes and practicing spirituality with good guidance. I have learned like the acro.
You've been muted again.
I don't know how
Okay.
it is getting muted. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Maybe you can get to the question quickly because you're making comments now. You have a question?
Yeah, about akrodha that I was saying, like how I have uh, I have been practicing, like, to get away with my anger, and
Mm-hmm.
I have uh, realized that I am so far away from my anger now. I don't step into that zone anymore. My escape is Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and
That's
tolerance.
good. That's very good.
That is more fulfilling than racing my heart and being angry.
Yes. Yes. I see the
That's
powerful
what.
aspect. Okay, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to share. And then whenever I see anybody getting angry, I just smile, and I feel like, oh, I got my escape from this. Got my
Mm.
medicine.
Yes, keep chanting. As you said, chanting is very, very good. It really puts us in the balanced state of mind and we don't get angry. That's
Yeah,
where we are now. Mhm.
at least I can smile more.
Yes. And as you do it, you get to laugh more also. So you don't take things too seriously. Because then we're gonna go crazy if we take things too seriously. But see,
Yeah.
Prabhupada says here, even if there's a provocation, one should be tolerant.
Mm,
Because once one becomes angry, then his whole body becomes polluted. In fact,
yeah.
I'll make one comment that my mom, my own mother, my material mother made. Well, he said that about anger. He said anger is temporary insanity. He says he used the word temporary because, of course, you don't get angry forever. But temporary insanity, insane not because you've gone mad, but insane because you've lost your ability to control your thoughts. And now some things that normally, even if it came to mind and it's a negative statement that you won't make, but in anger, it will just come right out of your mouth, insults or something, and then that doesn't help matters at all. And so, yeah, it's one of the qualities not to be angry. Akrod means anger, and akrod means not angry. It becomes very, 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 very important. As a matter of fact, when somebody, I just made this one comment because I don't know which Nyansi I heard it from, but when somebody does things to make or intentionally gets you riled up to get angry, not only should one be tolerant, but they also should pray for the other person.
Yeah.
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 If you pray for the other person so that their state of mind too can be changed, that is
Yes.
very helpful.
Yes. Yes. I think I
Okay.
should also start practicing that.
Hare Krishna, yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for the class. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Jai. Glory to Srila Prabhupada.
That was a nice question and comment and shedding light on it. Thank you so much. And I like the part that we should pray for others. Yeah. Sometimes I think that one we sometimes tend to forget. So that's good that we can offer prayer because everyone needs prayers. So that's a good one. Thank you. Any other questions from devotees? Any thoughts, any reflection, any question that you like to share from this? And like we said, it's going, each and every point is so important that probably if devotees can take some time tonight and read through chapter 1, I'm sorry, verses 1 to 3, and probably make some points down that we can discuss later on. As each paragraph it's a verse, each Sanskrit is a verse, and it's a lecture. So it'd be very nice if we can review this. Just a quick reminder, tomorrow morning is His Holiness Chandramali Swami's class at 7 o'clock. So please do join us tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock with His Holiness Chandramali Swami. It's always so nice to have him and hear his classes. It's like, so refreshing and such wonderful guidance that we get from Maharaj. So please do join us. And if there are no questions, we thank you all for joining us, and we thank Richard Prabhu for covering for Balabhadra Prabhu, who was having computer issues. And that's so nice that we have devotees that can jump in when we need them at the 11th hour, as they say. So thank you so much. And thank you to all the devotees for joining us. Vanchakrapatubhyascha, kripasindavevacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.